Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another TPM Tactical video. Today's video is going to cover off on how to create your own custom GM scenario. I know that by default, the map mods you download have a GM mission, and so do the vanilla maps. However, maybe you run ops every week and you want to, don't want to worry about having to put in the arsenals every time as a GM, or the spawn points, the way your base looks, etc. So this will just cover off on how to get that created, so then you can just focus on the AO. So the rest of the AI being spawned in, the objectives, etc. as the game master. Before we jump into that though, if you are enjoying these videos, please hit that like and subscribe, and leave a comment below on any tutorials you'd like to see. Okay, so I've obviously got the Infusion Workbench launcher open. I'm going to click Add Project and create a new project. Let's call this GM Example. Going to hit Create. This is all going to be done via using vanilla, so I'm not adding any mods. So up the top left here, you can see the GM example folder that's been created, and you can see the name of my project up here. If I select this, left click, and then go right click in this window, what we're going to do is create a worlds folder so that all of our worlds get saved in there. Our missions folder is where our mission headers get saved, or mission configuration files. And I'm going to create an images folder. You don't need to create an images folder, I just do for where I chuck any images that I import. Okay, so now we're going to go into the world editor. Up the top left, I'm going to go File and Load World. Going to select Arlen. If you want to do Eden, just select Eden. If you're wanting to do a modded map, you would select the mod that's listed below here and then navigate through to their world. So we're going to select Arlen, click OK. So this is going to load in the Arlen world now. And as you can see, here's our Arlen world, and up top left, this is Arlen here with all of its entities underneath. Now we're going to go File, New World. We're going to select Subscene and then click OK. So picture the Arlen world, that everything's in there is your main scene, and then this is your subscene over the top of that, which we add everything onto. As you can see, by default, it's called Unnamed. I'm going to go File, Save World As, and by default, you can see it's selected our worlds folder. If I didn't have a worlds folder, I would select my top folder of my project, go New Folder, and create my worlds folder. Being that I already have one, I'm just going to select worlds and give it a name. So GM Example Mission. And click OK. And you can see it's renamed it here. So I'm going to rename, actually no, I'm going to leave that by default, leave that at default for the time being. Up the top left here, I'm going to go to plugins, and then I'm going to go down to game mode setup. As you can see, game master is already selected. However, if you click the two dots on the right here, you could select conflict, game master, or scenario framework. Again, for this video being about game master, I'm selecting the game master config file and then clicking next. Basically, it's going to scan the world, look for the entities managers that are required. If it doesn't have them, it's going to let you know. So as you can see, I've just clicked the scan the world, and it's letting me know that these are required for the game master mission to work, and they're currently not present. So clicking next, and I want it to create those. Yep, sweet, it's gone through and created them, and it's letting you know that these ones here will need configuring to work for the game master to work. So let's click next and go to create header. If you see this script authorization required, feel free to hit no, but otherwise you do need it. So I'm just going to click yes to all. And it's basically telling you it's going to generate this mission config file. Or it's telling you that it's been configured correctly, sorry. And click next and then close. So this GM example mission.config is basically your configuration file or your mission header. As you can see up here, it says scr_mission header. If it was a conflict scenario, it would say scr_campaign mission header, something along those lines anyway. And this has created this file automatically and placed it in our missions folder. As you can see, this is it here. So if I close this, double click on that, it opens up the same window. Okay, so let's configure our mission header. In here we have the name of the mission, so GM example mission. If you put your mouse over pretty much anything, it tells you what it is anyway. So author, obviously myself, description, put in description of what you want in here, and then the details. The icon, loading screen, and preview images, they need to change from these default ones. So if we click on this little magnifying glass, if you ever see that magnifying glass, it will bring you to where it's located in your directory. So you can see I selected this magnifying glass here, it's taken me to where the default.edts file is located. If I double click on it, you can see up here on the right hand side the width and height. This information is key so that if you want to create your own image to replace these, you would create it at this resolution. So in Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you're using, create a project 1024 by 512, create your image, and then you would drag it in. So the same works for the loading screen. This placeholder is 1920 by 1200. So you create your mission based off those sizes. Oh, not your mission, sorry, your image based off that. So those sizes. Okay, let's go to this images folder. Because we need to replace these, all you need to do, I'll just drag in the last image I had open. So this AR how-to thumbnail is just basically an image that I created for a thumbnail for one of my YouTube videos. So once you've dragged it in, it basically goes through its script process to convert it from a JPEG into an EDS file. Once this EDS file has been generated, I'm just going to double click on it. On the right hand side here, I'm going to click import settings, and then format compress, I'm going to change that to best, and then down to color space, I'm going to change that to sRGB. Then at the very top, I'm going to re-import resource. So that's just a better process of importing. It improves the quality of it. JPEG files and PNG files work for this. For things like textures and that, it's probably best to use, I think it was a TIFF and TGA. They're generally recommended for those type of files that you're importing. Okay, so we've created our mission header. Let's drag these across now. So just taking note, this image is actually not to the right scale or resolution for the icon, loading screen, and preview image. But as you can see, this has been used as an example. Game mode, we can leave it at Game Master. You could change it to custom GM if you wanted. Your player count, match it to your server or whatever you like for your mission. These game flags, being that it's not a game like a conflict we want AI spawning in, we don't need these ticked by default. I haven't had any issues when I've done this before for Game Master, so I just leave them unticked. If you want saving on, you would leave our saving enabled, and you would give it a save file name, GM example mission. The rest of this here, we're not going to touch, just because it's for the Game Master to dictate how the mission is going to, when mission time starts, where it's day or night, and etc. So we won't worry about that. Okay, so we've pretty much done the mission header. The only time we would need to come back in here again is if we've stuffed something up, we need to fix it. So I'm just going to go into my world now, back into the world editor. Let's go through these managers. Okay, so we have a game mode. Let's click on, select that. And as you see on the right hand side, we have the game mode and then all the components underneath. By default, you don't need to adjust any of this. It all works. This is vanilla setup. However, if you do want to go through and modify, health settings or I don't know, whatever other settings you want to modify, feel free to test and adjust, work your way through that. One thing's different with this compared to the conflict scenario is that this game mode, the GM has all these other managers underneath the game mode as opposed to being a separate. I don't know if it makes any difference. However, they're in here by default, so we'll just leave it like that. Let's go through these managers. So faction manager, obviously related to our factions. We have 4 factions by default. So you got US, USSR, FIA, and Civ. So as you can see here, these are not ticked. So they're not playable. So if we go into the world right now, like with any GM mission, the Game Master logs in, they have to click, so no factions configured, they have to click this R+, select a faction, hit save, and then it adds the faction. Then you'd click on the faction, chuck in the spawn point, and then go through, add the arsenals and whatnot. So again, we're trying to avoid the GM having to set up the arsenals, set up your spawn points and whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to click is playable. I apologize if you can hear that dog barking next door. I do have everything closed up, but it's a little yapping dog. Okay, so I've ticked through USSR and FIA as playable. If you were, and US obviously. If you were going to have just a PvE mission, you wouldn't have any of these ticked. But if you wanted as a PvP mission with like 3 factions in this example, you would have all these ticked as playable. And make sure it's, yep, Civ's not playable, not shown on the welcome screen, and it's not a military. Awesome. So I'm going to save that. So let's see what that does now. Okay, so I don't know why, but you have to get back out and back in to enable the FIA again. I don't know why it unticks it. But you can see here it's already got the created faction of the US. So if I click on that, then all I would have to do is to put in a spawn point. Let's jump back out and retick USSR and FIA. Save that, jump back in, and they should all appear in this bottom left section now. Yep, sweet. So USSR and FIA. You put your mouse over it, tells you there's no objectives and no spawn points, which we know because we haven't placed any. Let's move through. Yep, we need a radio manager to use radios. We need a scripted chat entity so we can type in game, and also for admins to be able to log in. Or if you're using like the Bacon server admin tool, you need this as well for it to log in effectively. Task manager, yep. Loadout manager, yep, we'll need that. Need that. Map entity. By default, vanilla maps already have a map entity, so we don't need it. However, if you were running a custom map mod and maybe the map entity is not in there for whatever reason, all you do is have this map entity in here, and then you'll click these 2 dots and navigate to like the topo, and then the same for the background image. I'm not even sure where it's located by default in here. I think it's called Arlen. Oh, here would be that one there, and then you select that, and then that'll be your background images. But we don't need this, so I'm going to delete that, being that it's already in the world. Perception manager, yep, we'll leave that. We need that in there. SCR AI world. So this is basically required for AI to be able to navigate around trees, buildings, along the roads, etc. So this is the nav mesh. So on the right hand side here, we're going to select nav mesh world component, and then this is for low res. So we're going to click these 3 dots to navigate to the nav mesh file. So I'm just expanding the Arma Forger worlds. So Arma Forger worlds, and we're going to go to MP and nav meshes. This low res is this low res island here. Let's select that and click OK. Now move on to the next nav mesh world component. This is BTR like, so this is related to vehicles. Again, we're going to expand this, except we're going to go into Game Master nav mesh, and I'm going to select the island vehicles one here. I'm not 100% sure what the difference is between these Game Master ones and like the CTI campaign being the conflict ones. If you do know, let us know in the comments below, but I'm just going to follow the bouncing ball and utilize the Arlen nav mesh, the GM nav mesh for Arlen vehicles. And now we're just going to move on to nav mesh world component. So this, I'm going to click this set class and then click these 3 dots here, navigate through to Game Master, and this is the, so the soldiers one is the GM underscore Arlen NMN, so November Mike November. Click OK. And now as long as they're all selected, there's nothing further we need to do. So I'm just going to hit Control S to save that. And we're done for managers. That's all we need to do for the Game Master managers, unless again you want to go through and configure the game mode, modify any of the components. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rename this default layer. I'm going to call it alpha underscore managers. I just do this for organizational purposes. You don't need to, so I'll leave that up to you. Okay, so this here, I'm just going to right click on the sub scene, so my world, and go create a layer. I'm going to call this Bravo underscore US MOB. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to set it as active. Okay, so here is where I'm going to create my, my arsenals and the spawn point, and anything else I wanted to throw in here. So let's create an area. So go down to the resource browser, type in area. So you can see it by default here. Otherwise you select Arma Forger and it's located in the resource browser. Being that I've already selected this as my active layer, I'm just going to click and drag this into the world. I can leave it as it is, but for the purpose of this, I'm just going to rename it to the same. Spelled MOB wrong. That's embarrassing. And let's call it area. So it's nice and easy to be able to locate. Okay. Now I'm going to locate a layer. So just type in layer in here. If you have, by default, it can be mixed up with heaps of other different files and configurations. If you click this little filter icon here and then go prefabs, it just enables just prefabs to be filtered. So I'm going to click and drag this into the world. As you can see, by default, if you click and drag into the world, it just goes into your active layer. Maybe I need it in my area, so I'm going to click and drag it into my area. However, if I just Control Z, move back a little bit, if I click and drag this over to the name, so over to the actual area here, it puts this on the exact same point as opposed to being in a separate location. So if I move that slightly, you can see it's now off-centered. Just Control Z to go back, and it's centered. It's exactly where the area is. Let's move this over just to where I want to set up my MOBs. My arsenals. Okay, so here is the layer, and what I'm going to put into here is a slot. So I've just searched slot in the resource browser, and I'm going to click and drag this down to here. I'm going to move it into my layer, and this slot is basically going to be used to spawn in the arsenal and a separate slot for the respawn point. So let's put in 2 slots, one here and one here. I'm just going to put them in one layer. You might want to have it separate if you have different spawn points, just to keep it, for your organizational purposes, keep it tidy. Okay, so slot 1 is going to be my spawn point. Let's locate a spawn point. So type in spawn point within the resource browser, and what I'm looking for is these here. So spawn point _US. I'm going to select the SCR scenario framework slot base and this object to spawn. All I'm going to do is click and drag that in here. And now that is my spawn point. As simple as that. However, maybe we want to change the name. So the name, I think, is just called US point by default. I'm going to right click on the spawn point _US.et and go override. I'm just going to quickly save my world. I'm going to double click on this and go edit prefab. Here's my prefab. If I scroll down the right here, you see a bit of information. So US spawn point. Let's call this US, let's call it US main operating base. Yep, click off and save. So now I've renamed that from US point to US main operating base. I'm going to close that down. Actually, I could have kept that open. Go load back into my mission. Okay, so my US spawn point is now configured. Maybe you want to rotate it. I can't remember which way is front, but either way. Test adjust. Slot 2, I want this to be my arsenal. So going into arsenal, I'm searching arsenal, scroll down till I find the arsenal I want to use. So in conflict, as an example, where are we? Let's change this to prefabs. If you see these E_, that means it's an editable file where, config, prefab. Jeez, if I get it right. So if you place this down in the world, if anything with this color or E_ at the front means that the GM can actually move it or delete it. So we're just going to put down the ones that can't be moved. Where are they? No, they're at the top. Arsenal. Okay, so there's a couple of different variants here. So US box, Arsenal box US, Arsenal box US. So different variants of it. So one looks like this. The other is more what you'd see kind of in game. So for the purpose of this, we'll use this, utilize this one here. Okay, so this is it here. What I want to do is select it and left click and drag it into this object to spawn. And as you can see, here it's located now. Let me rotate this. Whatever way you want it. Awesome. Gotta go save, and let's go in game and have a quick look. Yep. Resource menu. So this is what you would see when you come into your world as a GM. In your server, you'd hit Y or press this to go into Game Master or whatever it is on Xbox. Or, well, you can't really do it for PS5, sorry. So US Army, Atlas Red. Here's our US main operating base, going to deploy. And here's our arsenal. Oh, frames. Here's our arsenal. Going to go to F to open arsenal, and as you can see, everything's in here. As expected. Okay, so arsenal, a box. However, if you wanted them separate like you do in Game Master, not Game Master, in Conflict, you would use the equipment one and then also the weapons one. So by default in Conflict, you go up to the arsenal point, you have the weapons on the left, so that's this one. That's basically built into the other prefabs. And then you have the US equipment on the right, where your uniforms and armor and whatnot are saved. Okay, so we've got that down. So then maybe you want to do, let's add another layer. You want to add in other items around your base. Layer. Why can't I locate the layer? Let's set this back to my active layer. I want to drag this into the area, and under this layer, maybe I want to put down, make the base a bit more homely. You want to put down bunkers and make your actual base a base, so it doesn't just be an empty place in the middle of the airfield. This is going to be really quick. Control C, Control V, copy it. Get a couple together. Select both of them, Control C, Control V. Select all four of these, Control C, Control V. As you can see, just going to make sure these are in the, I could rename these layers, but for the purpose of speed this up, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to drag them in there, keep things neat. Hit play. Respawn menu, going to select the US. Yep, US main operating base. And there is your prefabs that you place. So obviously you can set it up the way you want for your community, you know, for your operations, whatever. And the same process would work for then FIA and USSR. So you might want to create another layer. Charlie underscore USSR. MOB. Let's go Delta underscore FIA MOB. Save that. Actually, probably cheat coming here and copy this. Oh, not yet. Delete it. Control C. Set this as my active area. Let's make it, paste it here. Set up to ground. Why is everything half under the ground? Ah, there we go. So we could do that now and then go through, rename these, make sure your slots are pointed to spawn point underscore USSR. So this one here. Make sure your arsenal box is, what's it called? Arsenal box underscore USSR. Point to the correct arsenal box. Let's make sure this. Let's make sure these all snap to the ground, hey? So nothing's floating. Now. Snapping to that layer to the ground, which is obviously slightly different due to the terrain where I placed it before. Let's snap these to the ground. If I've done that correctly, these should be now the USSR spawn points. So if I hit play, again, that's if you wanted the USSR to be exactly looking the same as the US spawn point. Soviet, select that. Yep, so USSR point, spawn in. Here it is, and here's all the USSR gear. So the same goes for the FIA as well, which I'm not going to worry about doing, you know, but you could go through, modify the map and add in everything, different areas you want, different prefabs, HQs. Maybe you want to update Signal Hill here with some sandbags, more defensive points, so that when you go into the Game Master, then all you need to do is place down the AI, your objectives, and whatever you want throughout the AO. Once you're happy with it, you know, we've saved it. I'm going to close this world down now. Don't need these open. And I'm going to go to Workbench, go to Publish to the Workshop, give it a project name. You need a preview image, so let's go to some random one of mine here. Preview image. If you have contributors, you put in name at outlook.com as an example, space name1 at gmail.com, etc. These will be contributors who can then update the mission as well. Any tags you want to put in, category, so scenario multiplayer in this case. Your license, if you're not showing licenses, click this little question mark here. That will take you to their licenses page or give you more information. Version, if you just wanted to do some testing, keep it at version 0. Well, it doesn't really matter what version you really choose, but just make sure every time you publish, you go up by an increment or change them at least. Do not go backwards. Visibility, if you want it unlisted so no one can see it yet, you want it as a test, that appears in the test section within the workshop. And then summary and description, hit publish. Then you load up, add a mod to your server, and load that mission. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully that helps you out for a few communities that need to or want to create their own little custom GM, as opposed to having to build everything every time. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully, yeah, that helped everyone out. And if you do have any questions, queries, please leave it in the comments below. If you are enjoying these videos, please hit that like and subscribe. And thanks. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, or whatever it is. Catch ya.